Today, the Cure Chronicles is delighted to welcome Jamar Rogers. Jamar is a musician, certified meditation teacher, and HIV activist based in Hollywood, California. His musical talent earned him immense success on two hit singing competition shows, American Idol and The Voice. During his time on The Voice in 2012, Jamar disclosed his difficult life journey and HIV-positive status to the world, inspiring viewers to reevaluate everything they thought they knew about people living with HIV. His musical career flourished from there. He signed onto a record label, released music, and toured. In recent years, Jamar has incorporated music into his meditation practice. As a certified instructor, Jamar is committed to helping people in marginalized communities use meditation as a tool to improve their well-being. He is also a volunteer at the Meantime Men's Group, an organization that helps those living with HIV find housing and work. He also works with God's Love We Deliver and the Lower East Side Girls Club.
Jamar, thank you so much for joining us on the Cure Chronicles today.
Oh man, it's my pleasure. Are you kidding me? Thank you for having me.
No. I mean, you're too nice. You are just amazing. I mean, obviously an accomplished singer, having won awards on American Idol and on The Voice.
I mean, I got some accolades, but not quite not quite the main prize,
Well, I got to say that your music is fabulous, but the greatest stuff I saw about you was actually your TikTok videos. And I'm not a giant TikTok guy, right? I started on Instagram on you, and I was like, 16 posts? What's going on here? That can't possibly be right. I was like, yeah, maybe he's more active on TikTok. And I went down a rabbit hole of watching you and your philosophy. And I just want to say from the start of our conversation, everybody should take that trip. Okay,
wow.
We're going to go ahead and put your TikTok, link in that. Hopefully TikTok will still be around next year. But
and just so you know, Jeff, if you had just clicked over on Instagram and went to my Reels, I have all of the same videos from TikTok on Instagram. It's just not on my main feed. It's on the Reels page. Just.
Oh, I'm so glad you said that. You see, I'm a victim of being, 65 years old, okay? And I'm pretty technical too. But it's like, yeah, I somehow missed that. I saw 16 pictures of you and I was like, he's really more handsome than that. He should take more photos, right? And I was like, now where's his Reels? I didn't think to click right up at the top there.
Thanks, man.
But that is so cool. Your stuff's so cool. But we'll get back to that because I really want to have a conversation about philosophy with you, but I want to at least take people on your journey. You did an amazing thing between your appearance on American Idol and your appearance on The Voice. And that was to, come out about your HIV status.
Yes.
No little deal. I mean, I'm telling you, and national TV too. You're and not just national TV. I mean, huge network audience, right? Because I think that's the right thing to do. I've seen a lot of people, just come, just to be open with their status, and it's given them a lot of peace that they didn't realize they could have. But took a tremendous amount of courage and commitment. Tell us about it, please.
Man, it was quite a wild ride. I think the wildest part of it is that I learned to love myself in the process. I learned to accept my acceptance. I learned acceptance.
Mm-hmm.
I had been resisting against the diagnosis for so many years. And by resisting, I mean, I can't believe this. I can't believe this. How could I have been so stupid? Just like really beating myself up, living in this perpetual shame. And, one of the reasons I decided to tell everyone on The Voice, when I initially auditioned, that was not my goal. I did not, that was not a part of my story. I wasn't there. Two things happened. During the audition process, I began to really connect to my spiritual core. And I began to feel that it was time to tell the truth. And then another thing happened is I was being blackmailed by someone that I used to love. Who had said, if you ever become famous, I'm going to tell everyone. So it was a two-parter. I felt in my heart it was time, but I also wanted to take my power back. I wanted to control the narrative, that I didn't want anyone to feel that they had that kind of power over me. So I decided to stand on stage and tell it myself. And in that moment, I felt more empowered than I ever had. Now, in that moment, I felt it. The very next day, I felt like crap. I felt like garbage. Like, what were you thinking?
What did I do? I just made my problem 10 times worse, right? You know, especially having totally gotten over your self-stigma, right?
Absolutely.
So you're still kicking yourself, and then you're like, and now everybody, right, knows about my shame. It's like, but that must have started the journey out of that.
Jeff. Something magical happened. The day after my blind audition aired, I remember I was running some errands and walking around the Bronx, New York, and this old man stops me. He goes, "Hey, I saw you on TV last night." And then he gets tears in his eyes. And he's like, "Poppy, I'm a former heroin addict. I got HIV in the 80s. I've never seen anyone stand on stage and say it so proudly. Thank you for representing us." And in that moment, I was like, okay, I think I did something good. I think I did something good. And since then, it has just been, I've gotten DMs, I've gotten messages, I've gotten so much support from people saying, "Hey, because of you, I was able to tell my family, I was able to go get help, I was able to go get tested." And so, yeah, I'm really quite proud of what I did. Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. You know, I hear that story frequently from people that come on the Cure Chronicles, that when they became public with their status, when they started talking about their experience, they gave license, they gave, you know, sort of like support and comfort to other people to make that journey and to find some of the peace of mind that they had sometimes inadvertently found in their own life.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
And when I hear what you just said, I mean, like, you know, the arc of what you just said you went through is so common, but man, what you did was you just dialed it up to a 10, right? Because of how public this was, right? But all the same things are happening. And I hope, you know, that's one of the messages that people take away from the Cure Chronicles is that, you know, look at your life now. I mean, I didn't even want to talk HIV with you on this thing in some ways, because it is such a minuscule part of your life, right? Okay, so you are treating it. You're not contagious. You can never get AIDS. You know, you're no different than anyone else walking around on the street. You know, nobody has any reason to fear you, and really nobody has any reason to stigmatize you. But you can even have empathy for those people because you stigmatize yourself for a little bit, right?
I do too. I do.
But you found self-love, right? Which I think is, you know, sort of the theme of your TikToks, is like, you know, where you ended up, right? The TikToks are like, you know, "Hey, bestie," you know, and you're just like, all of a sudden you're laying on something. I'm like, took me 65 years to understand that. This young whippersnapper, he gets me. Darn you, Jamar!
I think
I think smart.
we're all suffer the human condition, man. I think that's what I realized, that there is more that we have in common than what separates us. I started recognizing the oneness in us, and we all here's what we all have: an inherent need to be seen, to be understood, to be loved. And I find that stigma is rooted in fear. Most negative emotions are rooted in fear. And so when I was able to stop taking people's rejection personally and realize they were just afraid, they were afraid by everything they had ever heard about the virus, all of the movies and the films and TV shows that were out that showed that it was that it was a death sentence. So once I got over the fear of it, I was then able to extend compassion and mercy to others that don't quite understand it. And I don't take it personally.
Yeah, I think that's very important. You know, you said that in one of your TikTok videos as well, you know, that you can go ahead and still have empathy and understanding for, you know, the people that stigmatize HIV and the racists and the homophobes, right?
Yeah,
I mean, like, yeah, exactly. Like, we're all human to the core, and we're all the same, and there, but for the grace of God or for the grace of the universe, because whether you believe in God or not, you got to accept the universe, right? It's there, man. It makes the rules. We live in it, and we need to find some, you know, peace of mind and peace and comfort in it, right?
Yes.
So, okay, so we don't have to even argue about religion anymore. The fact is that physics works, chemistry works, biology works. You know, you can look out there, the universe is there. You know, it is what it is.
It is what it is.
Are really important in it. we as individuals are important, and that means everybody else is important too. That comes across again in all of your TikToks. It's like,
wow, man.
It's just terrific. I think it's terrific stuff. If you're feeling in pain, if you're feeling anxiety, if you're feeling alone, all those stuff, there's something for you in Jamar's TikTok.
Oh man,
there's something in there that will engage with you, and you speak really well to the camera. That comes from being an artist, right? Feelings, right? You have them, and you can express them through your art. And one part of your art is your TikToks.
Thank you.
Well.
Wow, you're right. Yeah. I never
Absolutely.
really looked at it that way, but you're right.
Yeah. So, all right. Well, so let's talk a little bit more about, you sort of kicking off your facade, kicking off your, getting over your shame, right?
Yeah.
The needless shame, right?
Yeah.
And you're coming to this place of, sort of inner peace, and then even your desire to serve humanity in a way, right? Because I feel like that this is what we have in common. It's like the joy that I take from our mission here at AGT, the idea of, curing HIV. What I feel is that, this is a piece of the whole idea of what I want for humanity, right?
Yes.
In other words, like if I could help to remove some of those impediments, and even the Cure Chronicles are about that. Like if we can touch some lives out there and let them know, together, right? Because you've done this journey, like so many other people on the Cure Chronicles, from hopelessness in a way, right? Like think about I don't need to tell you to think about it. What is an HIV diagnosis like, right? Like unless you just happen to have been studying HIV forever, it's gotta be like one of the most traumatic and frightening events of one's existence. And, that can send you a whole bunch of different directions, right? Right. Like people's fear of that will actually make them other you, because they want to believe that they're different enough that they don't have to worry about what you're going through, because it could never touch them. I mean, this is just human psychology, right? There's the homophobe. There's the person who stigmatizes you, looks at you and decides you must be like this, none of which is true. Makes all those assumptions, which, by the way, in your TikToks, one of the things you say is, hey, don't make assumptions, just be brave enough to ask, right?
True. Yeah. Wow, you did your research.
I didn't, it wasn't research, man. It was just fun going through those things. Like it was one hand after another. And I got to tell people, keep going, okay? Because, you're going, one of the things I notice is that even your TikToks are on an arc. It's all good stuff, but don't miss the early things, because you think you get the things that have come recently. It's all good, man. Keep going.
Thanks, man. And I think that what I'm doing, when you're funny about the arc, I'm literally just talking about the lessons I'm learning as I'm going through it. And so when I was, if you go to my earlier TikToks and I'm talking about nurturing your inner child, I had just discovered my inner child and how to talk to my inner child and how to encourage and support myself. And there's other TikToks about, dealing with my daddy issues and my mommy issues and actually allowing myself to grieve the death of my grandmother, and how when you don't let yourself grieve, how it can manifest as trauma. I'm just sharing what I'm learning, but you're right. I'm gonna go back and revisit some of those earlier things I was talking about, maybe bring them back to the forefront. And lately, what I've been really embracing is everyone is a reflection of me. And so
that you're putting out like energy that's being reflected back, and you can have a huge effect on that.
Absolutely. Yeah. And so if someone is coming at me with a lot of hate or some fear, then they're pointing out some fear and some shame that I'm still carrying within myself. And so I've stopped pointing so many fingers, and I'm going more inward and saying, okay, there's this honing in device inside of me that is telling someone, please show me what's on the inside of me. Thank you for showing me how I'm still not showing up for myself. When someone decides to reject me or cast me aside, where have I not shown up for myself in those instances? Because what I do know for a fact, that when I show up for myself and when I love myself, unconditionally, it is always reflected back at me. It always comes back to me. That's why I don't have to chase relationships. I don't have to chase love. I simply have to stand still and receive, because it's already a frequency that I'm sending out. So that's what I've been like playing around with, like literally playing around with energy, which I know sounds a little woo-woo and stuff, but I'm seeing results. I'm finding that as I shed, that evolution is not so much about becoming something else, but it's about unlearning and unbecoming. Don Miguel Ruiz talks about the domestication that happens amongst us. Like we lose our wild nature because we're domesticated by society. I think it's about losing a little bit of that domestication, because that's where your essence is. That's where your dharma is. That's where your path is. That's the heart. That's the journey of the heart.
But you see, it comes across in your videos. Like I even heard you disappointed at the end of one of your videos. You and your dog are trying to like make a whatever those things are of yourself. That
the
picture,
AI,
the cartoon.
AI painting.
Yeah. And it keeps coming out white. They keep painting you white. You keep sounding disappointed. And I'm like, this is so cool, because it's not that he thinks being black is better than being white. He just means that it's okay to be whatever you
to
are.
Be, yeah.
Proud of it.
And
right?
to love it. Yeah.
Love it. Right. Exactly. And love that other person who's not the same color as you, not the same religion as you, not the same gender as you, not the same sexual orientation as you, because they don't mean you any harm. Now, when people do mean you harm, that's a whole different thing, right?
That is
like you had a sociopath in your past. He said, I'm going to out you, right? I'm going to take power on you and I'm going to hurt you, right? Okay, that's bad. Now you can still have empathy for the guy. You can start thinking about like, why would he be that way? And I think that's a good way to look at it. But at the same time, there's nothing wrong with, saying, strategizing about that and saying, how am I going to protect myself? Because not everybody acts in a good way, even though we all have potential for good.
Well, hurt people. If people are out hurting people, they are in a tremendous amount of pain. And I realize that now. That doesn't give them an excuse. I don't excuse their behavior, but it does give me a reason, a cause. Yeah. And so that young man, I've forgiven him. I forgave him a long time ago, but I've even gone beyond that. And I am now grateful for him, because he really did help me get over my biggest secret. He helped me get over the one thing that was holding me back from thoroughly enjoying my life. Before I contracted HIV, I was homeless. I was on crystal meth. I was aimless. I wanted to die every single day. Getting that diagnosis saved my life. It got me off of meth. It made me decide, oh, wait, I actually don't want to die. I really do want to live. And once I got that will to live, there was like this fight. It kicked up a fight in me. So HIV has always been a gift to me. It's been a blessing. It was my fear of people's reaction to it that kept me in a lot of shame. And so now that we're actually discussing a cure, now that we're actually like at this place in time, I'm just so excited that moving forward, future generations aren't going to have to experience that kind of stigma or that kind of shame. That it's going to be kind of like I remember back, people were dying from syphilis back in the day. It was a horrible thing, and now it's just a little. You get your shot, you do a little treatment. I can't wait until HIV becomes that, until we actually see it that way as well. You
and me, brother. I mean, I've been at this 15 years trying to, cure something of substance. And HIV, some part of it was just serendipity that got HIV to be the one that's the first one in the clinic. Because we didn't start off 15 years ago going, we're going to be an HIV company. We said, we're going to be a gene and cell therapy company. This is really powerful. Wow. It's going to cure big things. My hope is, okay, we knock off HIV. We use the money from that to, find a cure for cancer.
Yeah, man.
I think that's all within the scope of this thing. But going back,
I did my research too, though, Jeff. I did my research too, and I saw the countdown you guys are on. I mean, you're so close. You're so close.
Let's say we have line of sight on the cure. I don't want to because I'll tell you, one of the things I find about the HIV community is needlessly they think that they're in desperation. Right. Now, I know some people that cannot get treatment. They are really in a desperate situation. I totally empathize with that. And I empathize with people that think that, the number one thing in life is to be HIV free. But, it's like when this is going to sound really strange to you, but it's like when I graduated from Harvard. My parents have been telling me my whole life, like, if you graduate from a great school, your life is made. And I got out of Harvard and I was like, what next, right? And I imagine that when everybody gets cured of HIV, they'll be happy. Okay. I'm happy that I have a Harvard diploma, right? You know, there's nothing wrong with that. And it's opened some doors for me, and it's relieved some, you know, sort of effort that I need to make to get the interview, right? You know, if I want to, you know, do other things in my life, yeah, it's useful. I think it's useful to be, you know, all sorts of things are useful in life. So, but I think that, you know, I'm hoping what they'll be like, I can't believe I was so depressed, or I was so anxious, or I was so self-stigmatizing, or so full of fear about that whole thing. What was it? It was just a pill every day, right?
That's so true. That is so true. Yeah, yeah.
And look at you, you're a walking, talking example.
Oh, you're absolutely right, because it really boils down to just self-acceptance. I hated myself before the virus. I hated that I was gay. I grew up in a very religious household, so I learned shame at a very early age. I hated my existence. And over the years, I think that self-love, that comes with just such loaded imagery. I think people are like, that sounds more woo-woo. To me, I think self-acceptance is the way to go. That self-acceptance leads to self-love. When you start to just accept, when you stop fighting, when you're like, you know what, this is the way I am. And I'm not saying that you don't work to strive to change certain character traits that you may not like. You know, if you have issues with punctuality and you want to work on being on time, you don't just say, oh, that's just the way I am. But there is a certain freedom that comes with just simply accepting yourself, flaws and all, and saying, who says that this is a bad thing? To me, it was going back and challenging the beliefs that I had been raised with, these beliefs that came from my family, from my church, from my teachers, and saying, do I have to believe this about myself any longer? I don't. I don't have to believe I'm a failure. I don't have to believe I'm tainted. I don't have to believe I'm a waste of space, or that I'm worthless. I can believe that I was born on purpose, with purpose. I'm not leaving this planet until my purpose is done. And when I started ingraining myself with new beliefs, I started making new decisions. When you start making new decisions, you start having new circumstances, and those new circumstances lead to better decisions. My apartment now, I should not be here. It is beautiful. For a former meth head, homeless guy, I am doing amazingly. I'm doing wonderfully. And that's why I want to let people know that your status, or whatever mistake you think you've made in life, whether it was an unwed pregnancy, maybe it was a relationship you were in, it does not get to define who you are moving forward. Your past does not dictate your future. It was a mistake. So get up and we bounce back. We learn from our mistakes. You don't have to stay stuck there. You're not stuck.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. I mean, you preaching to the choir too. I mean, like when I was listening to you, I was just seeing myself, right? I was never a drug addict. I grew up, you know, up sort of middle class and moving into upper middle class, you know, great education, great home, great parents, and stability, everything, right? You know, but there were some things some commonalities. This is the funny thing, is that I think my parents, given their background, were full of fear for me, right? And their way to overcome that fear was, one, you know, you've got to go to a great college. That's not that isn't that important, right? You've got to educate yourself. That is important. You got to be thoughtful. You know, a good brain, a strong brain is a tool that is one of the most powerful things that you can have in terms of shaping your world. And think about all your philosophy. It comes from your brain. Right? It comes from your experience, it comes from your thoughtfulness, it comes from your ability to analyze the situation, and it brings you tremendous happiness, which is what? The point of life.
Yes.
Right? You know, and everybody's like, well, what's success? Well, private plane success. Really? You know, I know tons of people with private planes that are the most unhappy people on earth. Because why? Because they need a private plane and they're in fear of, like, whoa, what if my private plane breaks down and I have to fly commercial? And they think they need that stuff and they don't. And you're looking around your apartment going, I should have never been here. So happy for what I have.
Yes.
And that's exactly how I feel every single day. Yeah. Yes. Once you realize that your needs are right here, right? Food, water, clothing, you know, self-acceptance, you know, relationship, connection,
community.
Community.
Yes.
Boom.
Yes.
And it's so easy to get. Okay. Everything above that is an opportunity for joy. And I bet you're, yeah, because so long as you realize like, hey, I don't need that. It's nice though. Ooh, that feels good.
Yes. Well, I mean, so there's a whole Buddhist philosophy around that the root of suffering is the clinging. It's me clinging to an idea, clinging to my ego, clinging to I need to have that. And I find that when you let go, you receive what you want most. That's the paradox. Once I stopped chasing after certain things, it just came to me. And so I hear you, man.
Be yourself and find your place.
Success. That's how I define success. Actually liking the man I am when I go to bed at night. Actually not hating what I see in the mirror anymore. To me, that is success.
I absolutely agree. For me, I tell everybody, you know what success? Peace of mind, happiness, and, occasional joy.
Yeah.
Right? And then I'm like, you don't need anything else on top of that. And you can't be happier than that. And I'm like, hey, and I wish this for you too. Let's say that your music career takes off so much that you're like, something, be pocket change for me to have a private jet. I hope you get that private jet and that mansion, and I hope you enjoy it. And I got no problem with that. And that won't make you unhappy. Why? Because philosophically and intellectually, you are you and strong inside. And that outside stuff is just, I won't say it's an illusion, but let's say that, it's not important. It can come and go and it won't change you. And so, I think the illusion
is the weight of how important we think it is. That's the illusion.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Because sometimes when you get that thing, you're still, what's next? Like you said earlier, what's next?
You need 2 private jets because what if one breaks down? And then your wife needs to go someplace that you don't want to go. And so now you need 3 private jets because what if one of those 2 breaks down? And then
it's always something.
And it gets expensive. And then all of a sudden, like the Buddhists, I think the Buddhists are the ones who say this, that your possessions start owning you. Right?
Yes.
It's
true. It's true.
So don't forget, if you're, if there's a billionaire watching this and you're on your private jet and you just happen to be catching this up on your super speed Wi-Fi because you can afford that in the air. All right. Remember, you don't really need that jet, but enjoy it. Okay.
Enjoy it, man. Yeah.
Enjoy it, man. And, and power to you, just like everybody else.
I like that.
Love, acceptance of yourself and everybody else. And if for some reason the jet's broken down and you don't have a spare, you'd be surprised how great first class is on the airlines, and you meet a lot of interesting people, like Jamar, as a matter of fact. Everyone's flying sit next to somebody.
Oh, I love a good
a really interesting life experience, and this is what it's all about.
Those are the best. You mentioned some music, Jeff. I actually took like almost a 2-year break from music because I was unfulfilled. And it's when I started making TikTok content, actually. And it was during that process I became a certified meditation teacher, started conducting breathwork sessions. I started working on somatic healing and moving trauma from the body. And so I am now releasing a song. And it is a functional song in that I tell you to breathe in and breathe out. And if you breathe in as I sing and breathe out, and do it the entire 2.5 minutes that the song is on, it should calm your nervous system, your parasympathetic nervous system. It should start to slow your heart rate down, lower your blood pressure, lower your cortisol levels. And so I wanted to use music in a sound healing way, in a new way that wasn't about me just trying to be famous anymore, in a way that people could put something on if they're having a bad day, if they're feeling anxious, and actually breathe along with the song. So I just finished that up in the studio. I'll be releasing that within the next 3 to 4 weeks. And I'm really excited to share that with everyone. It's a very new project for me. I'm excited.
Can you do a bar for us? I mean, just like a 1 sentence or 2, because what you're talking about here is, this is medicine. This is holistic medicine that you're talking about. Okay, yeah, it isn't a drug that goes in your body, but that we have incredible power over our own bodies with the kind of things that you're talking about here. So, we'll have to get the link, once
yes, for sure.
But I see you actually leaning forward on the idea of giving us a bar. I would be so proud to,
man. I got you.
Have this on the show.
I want to make sure I don't get too loud. So it's breathe in, breathe out. keep on, keep on. God bless your lungs. Breathe in, breathe out. Oh. And so it's just kind of like a mantra that it's just on repeat. Breathe in, breathe out, keep on, bless your lungs, breathe in, breathe out. And
you're doing, you are bridging the gap between people that have not found that holistic side yet, right? Because I tried meditation and I really came to understand how meditation affects your body, right?
Yes.
But it's not necessarily like sort of accessible to everybody. Like I saw a picture of you and your, I don't know, what would you call that? Your meditation coach or your guru or whatever. I'm like, why do they always look like that? You know, that's cool with me. That's cool.
But he's just like an old hippie, man. He's just an old hippie.
Yeah. It's just not familiar, right? Like,
Yeah.
you know, I don't see a lot of people just like, oh yeah, you know, I identify with that immediately. But once again, that just shows you're just missing out because you can't look past this guy's surface.
Yeah.
So, you know, so don't take me the wrong way. The guy's beautiful, man. I bet he's just great. So, yeah. But, you know, you are going, hey, you know, maybe you're not ready for that, but breathe in, breathe out, feel me through the music.
Yeah.
You feel something good happening. Okay, next TikTok video, I'm going to turn you on to this, right?
Yes.
So that is super. And I'm glad you're pursuing something because I think, again, this is something that we have in common. You know, service to humanity is the most fulfilling thing on life and in life, right? And once you have enough, when you go ahead and turn yourself to that, the feeling of, you know, joy, fulfillment that you get is not available anywhere else that I've ever found, right? When you realize like, oh, my life has purpose, it's about having love for humankind.
Man.
And by the way, that includes me, right?
Yes.
You know, we are all human, right?
Yes.
You can even derive good in the universe about, you know, how do we sustain humankind? How do we increase success of humankind in the definition of happiness, right?
Thank you. Being more community minded. Yes. Yeah. Thinking about us. As opposed to just me all the time. It is so much more fulfilling. It really, I know that sounds so cliched. I know that one of the times I would have been rolling my eyes at that statement, like, oh, sure. Yeah. But there is, when I was working with God's Love We Deliver in New York, it was hot. It was hard work running up 18 flights of stairs in Harlem to serve food to people who were chronically ill. They had AIDS. They couldn't leave their home. But after that day was done, I would feel so like I did something that was worth it. I did something good. Yeah. And no one can take that away from you. Yeah.
In some way, we all realize that we're only here for a limited period of time.
That's it.
Right.
That's it.
And will that have meaning or not? Right. You know, and what is, let's say we accept that there's an afterlife. Okay. So if you accept an idea of God, or if you believe that maybe there's a physical energy, you know, sort of an energy that lasts beyond us or whatever, what would have meaning there? Right. It certainly ain't going to be material things. You know, everybody understands you can't take it with you. Right. It's going to be something, you know, that we can be proud of.
Absolutely.
In retrospect. Right. And, you know, religions try to build this in too. You know, you see St. Peter right away and some religions, right? You know, reviews your life with you and you either feel good or bad. I used to think, you know, my philosophy was like, if there's a God, you're his child and you're going to be welcome there. But you might feel a lot of shame over the crappy stuff you did in life initially when you get there. But it doesn't matter. He still loves you. Right? The universe still loves you. You still deserve love. You said that in one of your TikTok videos too. You were like, hey, bestie, stop being down on yourself, right? You know, so again, watch the videos so you don't think I'm crazy because it's all in there, you know, and you'll start to think, oh, maybe Jeff wasn't losing his mind on the interview either. Yeah, this is starting to make sense to me. But I do get also, you got to be ready to receive that message, right? You can't certainly when you hit rock bottom, you're ready for anything, right? You did that, right?
Yes,
I've had meth addict, and then you got an HIV diagnosis. It's like I wouldn't wish that on my worst enemy.
Few heartbreaks, you know. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, right? Okay, so you're like, there's only one way, but and it's up, and I got to figure out how to, climb out of this hole instead of continuing to dig, right?
And one thing I have learned is that it ultimately always works out. Ultimately, one way or the other.
Survival isn't hard, and if you're surviving, you can have happiness.
That's it,
right? And you've survived at the lowest level ever.
That's it,
right?
That's it.
People wouldn't let you live with them, because you were a meth addict and you were stealing, you said in one of your interviews, right? And I'm like, yeah, I get it, man. You were a homeless meth addict. It's like, yeah, it doesn't get much worse than that.
Yeah.
And again, that's why you can take joy from come from your reemergence from what is something that is unusually low on the bell curve, right?
Yeah.
The bell curve is well within the joy range, the potential happiness range.
Yes, sir.
And take it from Jamar, because he's been out of the bell curve before, and he's feeling good just being inside the sort of the big part of the bell curve right now.
Yeah.
And I'm saying, hey, there's nothing wrong with being on the high end of the bell curve. Just recognize that the fact that you're not in the low end of the bell curve gives you amazing license to just have tremendous joy for what you're not suffering,
and to go spread some of that, some of that
spread
love,
some of that,
and that peace, to those that
not everybody's going to be able to spread it. Not everybody's going to think about it as deeply as you did. This is why I'm glad you are putting it out. I hope one day you will be in Maryland and you'll drop in here and maybe talk to all of us, because I think this is to be part of our culture. Is a lot of what you're putting out.
Thanks, man. Wow.
I'm going to go way back in this interview just for 1 second, because I thought this is another thing that kind of is a universal thing that struck me as you were talking. So you had this person who threatened to out you about your HIV status, right? And it was horrible, and it drove you to do something which maybe you wouldn't have done otherwise. And then in retrospect, you realize that the universe gave you a gift. How crazy is that, right?
It's insane.
It's insane, right? But it's perspective and self-love.
Perspective.
And that you were forced to stop stigmatizing yourself. And then, how lucky it was that you're walking down the street, and you bump into some guy and he's like, yo, I know you. And then he starts crying and he tells you, you gave me perspective, right? You gave me hope.
Yes.
That is so cool. And I talked to people. I was even on a plane with a politician the other day, and she was writing a personal note back to one of her constituents. And she, I thought, well, that's a very good idea, right? You can't write back to everybody. Like I get a ton of inbounds from people that are HIV positive, and even people that have cancer, because that's one of the things that we're, trying to work on, but that's further out. And I don't have time to write back to everybody, but I try to whenever I can, because I feel like, these people would benefit from just a little bit of empathy and understanding and hope. And my biggest fear is I don't want to give them more hope than they really should have right now, because I don't want to disappoint them. So I try to, never overpromise, but to say like, yeah, we're trying our best, man. We're with you. We don't have HIV. I don't think we have anybody with HIV in the company. We don't care about that. We care about you.
Wow,
right?
Man, that's amazing.
We want to do something special here. So, so I'm watching this politician writing. I'm like, hey, we have something in common with her too, right? Wow. You know what? She said, yeah, every once in a while I'll show up at a, political event and somebody will come up to me and say, oh, thank you so much for that letter. And, and I was like, yeah,
I'm sure. Yeah.
You must get a lot of joy out of that kind of experience. Now,
absolutely.
She looked at me like she didn't quite understand what I was saying, because of course, probably she's more used to the other reaction, which is, wow, you are so amazing for writing those letters. Right? But, I get it. She is amazing for writing those letters. But the amazing part is the joy.
It's a joy.
That just came full circle, right? Yeah. That's the thing that everybody should be focused on. So she wrote the letters, and every once in a while she touched a life, and that person their mind opened up to the idea that we're in this together. Even the politicians can be on our side, which is not an easy thing to
true.
now, especially since she was a Washington politician, right? You might have some local government officials where you're like, oh, I love my town, right? You know, I'm even like, I love Maryland. Maryland's got a great government, right? You know, I'm like, I can't believe
you have a cool governor
just south of us can't pick up some of this philosophy, you know, this idea of public service. It really, it's fulfilling, and you can get reelected because you do stuff for your constituents. You don't have to, you know, have all the special interests dumping tons of money.
Or
right?
Playing the culture wars.
Right.
There's a game I play, Jeff. There's a game I play, Jeff, that I think keeps it light and fun, and it's how many people's day can I make? I find that when I walk around with that mentality, whose day can I make? Whose day can I make? Whether I'm grocery shopping at Starbucks, am I complimenting the barista? Am I making small talk in a way that makes the waiter or the server feel seen or heard? Am I tipping a little extra? Am I buying the person behind me coffee? I find that when I'm putting that energy out, I don't have time to complain. I don't have time to be irritated because I'm playing this game. How much fun can I have making people's day? And so that is I'm telling you, bro, when you start seeing people around you as just potential friends instead of big, bad, scary people and enemies, I have talked to people that on paper shouldn't want to talk to me. And I've had such rich, deep, momentous conversations. So it's definitely possible to be able to find enough joy daily. Even with all of the shenanigans that are happening, it is possible to find little pockets of joy every day.
Yeah. And this is another thing I find, that when I espouse that same philosophy, right, people just go, you know, you're just wrong because I have all these pains in my life. And I'm like, you think I don't have pains in my life? Constantly. I'm just saying that in the moments that I escape the pain, I'm feeling joy.
That's it.
Because I understand that life is full of BS.
It is.
And I got to handle it. And this is especially true at my company, right? Because, you know, this is a competitive, hard driving, you know, difficult mission.
I can imagine.
And I'm all in, and I'm leaving it on the field every day. And, you know, but people come in and out of the mission who feel it to varying degrees. I look at you and I'm like, you should work at AGT, right? You'd be like, how can I, you know, bring joy to 38 million people? I can like put myself full-time into curing HIV. This is how I feel every day. I feel lucky to be able to work on this, because the same way that you're talking about, you know, am I making small talk with the barista, you know, buying the cup of coffee behind you, smiling at somebody, making a new friend, making somebody feel good. You know, your TikTok videos do that. I think you are spreading a lot of joy, and I think you should be proud of that. But that's, you know, even though it's been 15 years so far, and it'll probably take a few more, and I'm not a young, you know, a spring chicken like you, right? You know, so, but I'm like, what else would I want to do with my life? I got enough, right? Everybody's like, well, you know, you're rich. No, I'm not rich. You know, I got enough. I'm not in financial pain right now.
Satisfied. Yeah.
Right. But I bet everything I had on this company, because I was like, if this can be done, it should be done. And if it should be done, it must be done. And if I can do it, I gotta be there.
Yes,
I gotta show up, right?
Man. Yes, sir.
And so, you know, there's in between all the difficult things in my job is tremendous joy, because I get to be doing this.
Yes.
Right? Just like you get to smile at the waiter and tip a little extra, and you feel good.
Yeah.
Yeah. You're not even talking, you made them feel good, but it's like, you got it right back.
I always do.
Good. Yeah, you do. And you
feel good, but then I find that I open myself up to receive blessings from other people, just random little, I like to call them kisses from the universe. Just like, oh, that was nice. Thanks. Hey, oh, look at that parking space there right up front. Oh, thanks. Thanks, universe. You know, just
it goes back to something you said earlier. What you're putting out is what's getting reflected back. Absolutely. And you have a tremendous amount of control over your environment. you put good things out into it. It's cliche to say what goes around comes around,
but it's so true, man. It's so true. Yeah.
But not 100%. So don't get upset if it doesn't work the first time, right?
But I also find that I had to release my idea of what I thought was good. Sometimes like HIV on the surface is bad. It's a terrible thing, but it turned out to be very good in my life. So
got good aspects and bad aspects. We're not, by the way, anybody listening, we're not recommending that you go out and get HIV. Okay. And Jamar's not saying that either. No, but if you have it, just recognize immediately it does not define you. It does not define you. It does not limit you.
And is there a way to find the silver lining? Is there a way to find the blessing in the middle of the turmoil? Normally I find that there is usually one pocket of sunshine if you're willing to look for it.
Cliche, every cloud has a silver lining, right? It's a funny thing. I love cliche and common wisdom, right? It's like, or even in some ways, right? Some of the negative things like stereotyping, right, is a bad thing. But there is something to learn within these observations, right? Sure. So common wisdom is usually more common than it is wise, but there's an element of truth in it.
There's an element of wisdom to it, absolutely.
Of wisdom to it. Like there's something that you can learn from it. Even the negative aspect of stereotyping, you can learn something positive from it if you look at it right way.
So true.
And HIV, you could actually think, wow, I found the silver lining in here, that this experience actually improved my life. It set me on a course that made Jamar, what he is today. And I'm telling you, I'm going to wrap it right there, because that Jamar is awesome. I really enjoyed this discussion, and I'm sorry for being such a fanboy on this conversation here.
You really encouraged me. Thank you.
I've seen some of this in every interview that I've done, but I'm like, you just somehow hit it like right down the middle of the fairway with me on your TikTok video. So I was very excited to meet you. I thought we're going to have a great conversation that I'm going to love, and I really did. And kudos to you, Jamar. Just keep on doing it.
Thank you, brother.
Yeah, thank you.
We will meet. We will meet in person. I'm a hugger. I'm gonna give you a nice tight hug in person.
Yeah. I'm gonna come. Will you come out here, or I'm gonna come out there? I have business on the West Coast every once in a while.
Perfect.
Perfect. I would love to meet you in person.
Same.
Yeah, that would
just
be
great
wonderful.
energy, man. I really thank you for having me on. But I also just want to take the moment to thank you for your service, for the work that you're doing. I can fanboy over you for a moment. Because you could be probably doing a lot of other things with your education and probably making a lot more money as well. And yet you've decided to give back. So from one person that is currently living with the virus, thank you for dedicating your life to this, your hours, for hiring people that are just as dedicated, and for shifting your own focus and perspective, and when you really didn't have to. So I really appreciate you. Thank you.
Well, thank you so much for saying that. And, I hope you understand when I say that, what else would I want to do with my life that would be more important than, helping humanity and helping people to eliminate some of the impediments that are getting in the way of them, having joy and living together and loving one another and things like that. So I am a lucky man to be where I am. And I am honored that I could be part of a journey that might result in an HIV cure, might do it, could even lead to a cancer cure one day. This is what makes me jump out of bed in the morning, and the joy is mine, man. The joy is mine.
I love that. Hey, well, thank you.
All right. All right. Take care. Thank you for coming on the Cure Chronicles, and I can't wait to see you again sometime soon.
Yes, sir. All right. Stay in touch. Have a good one.